I'm Caitlin Jenkins, the family law vlogger, and this is the latest in the stages of divorce section. You'll be really pleased to hear we're nearly at the end of the Form E. So we're now on section 4, which is what the solicitors often call the back pages, because they come right at the back of the Form E, obviously. So I'm going to look at the first few areas, 4.1, 4.2 and 4.3 of the Form E in this vlog, and then we'll have separate vlogs on the thorny issue of behaviour, which is 4.4, and the other circumstances section, which is 4.5. They'll be in separate vlogs. So 4.1, this is an easier section really of all of these sort of positional back pages. And what these back pages, this section do is it gives you the opportunity to some extent to argue your case and to sort of set out some of the more detailed background to the marriage. Now, what the courts don't want is they don't want chapter and verse. They do not want the sort of life history of your very long marriage all summarised in pages and pages and pages in Form E. They want the headlines that are relevant to the overall circumstances that a court would take into account in looking at your divorce. Now, whether something is relevant, you may well need some advice on from your solicitor, but the topic areas of these sections will give you a clue. So 4.1 is any changes, 2 sections to 4.1, any changes that have happened to your income or your capital in the last 12 months. And then the next part of it is any changes that are coming up. So obvious things that may well have happened or be coming up might be that you'll change jobs, or you can see that you're changing jobs in the next 12 months, or that you've inherited some money in the last 12 months, so that's only come in the last very recently, or perhaps you anticipate inheriting some money because somebody's already passed away, but the probate hasn't been dealt with and you haven't received the money yet, but it's likely to come through in the next 12 months. So that section is talking about significant changes, either things that have happened most recently or you can see foreseeably that are coming up in the next 12 months. 4.2, this is the standard of living section. Now, the reason for this section is one of the specific things that are covered under the statute when courts or discussions are ongoing about the division of finances on divorce is around the standard of living that the parties had during the marriage. Now, that does not mean to say, and we'll discuss this in a separate vlog about how you structure financial settlements, does not mean to say that everybody can always have exactly the same standard of living that they enjoyed during the marriage in a divorce scenario. But right here in the Form E, what the purpose of this box is to try and just get a flavour of what the standard of living was. So, for example, things that often go into this section are the sort of house that you've lived in throughout your marriage. So maybe you've lived in a 2-bedroom house throughout your marriage, or maybe you've always rented, maybe you've always had a lifestyle of a very large family home plus several other holiday homes. So just being able to put in a sentence or two about the sort of lifestyle that you've had in terms of accommodation in this section is relevant. Then things like other aspects of lifestyle. So have you regularly enjoyed family holidays, long haul, short haul, how many times a year? Where sort of destinations have we been to? Gives a flavour of standard living. And the other thing often is around things like lifestyle to do with, for example, private education. If you privately have children and you've privately educated them throughout or for a certain stage, that's an indicator of the sort of standard of living that you've enjoyed. So those are the sorts of topic areas that go into 4.2, which is standard of living. 4.3 talks about contributions. Now, this is a bit more nebulous. It could be that you've brought in assets to the marriage. For example, it may be that you made a contribution to the marriage at the outset by bringing in a home, which you brought in to the starter as the starter fund for the marriage. It could be that, for example, you had a business that you were running or you inherited for a number of years prior to the marriage that would be relevant to the contribution section, because it's showing to a court the contribution that you made, both as a spouse, potentially as a parent, but also the financial contributions that you've brought in. That's what the court is really concerned about in this Form E, because the Form E is about finances. It's concerned to understand any financial contributions as opposed to personal contributions that you've made around parenting or support of the other partner. So, as I say, these sections are a bit more positional, maybe need a little bit more careful thought, slightly less factual, may therefore be a topic area that you would be wise to take some advice on from a solicitor. But for now, if you need specific advice on your circumstances, whether it's those sections of Form E or otherwise, or other issues of family law, then please do feel free to contact me or one of my other specialist colleagues in the Mills Reeve Family Law and Children team, and you'll find the details at the end of this blog. Thank you.